Hi everyone, today I am making some creamy chorizo butter noodles. I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto and carnivore recipes and other cooking ideas that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds. I hope that you check out my website and some of my other videos, and that you join me on this journey as I continue to get to my goal weight. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I hope you enjoy today's video. Okay, so I'm going to make some pasta with some creamy chorizo sauce on top. That's basically what this is. I'm going to make the simplest pasta that I have on my website. It's only 2 ingredients. I call them egg fast pasta noodles because originally I was doing this for the egg fast, but these noodles work for BBBE, beef, bacon, butter, and eggs, and they also work for carnivore. You can add some salt to it, but basically it's animal products. So I'll link that below so you can print out the card. Now I am doing a twist today. Normally you would make these either with like something like mayo or butter mayo or butter. I am going to use the bone marrow spread that I made the other day. I will also link that below. That came from Indigo Neely's YouTube channel, where she showed how to make the bone marrow spread or butter or whatever we're going to call it. I don't know if it's going to work. I've never done it, but I think it should, based on my past experience with the butter mayo working and the butter working, all that. I think it should work. We're going to do it. So I'm using, for the sauce, it's also going to be very simple. I'm using a pound of chorizo pork. Now this is, in this package, this is basically raw. It's frozen right now. I will thaw it out. It's raw pork mixed with spices. Now I get this from my butcher. They're called Heritage Butchers in Langley. I know that doesn't help many of you out there, but it might help a couple of you. They have some really great meat, and I checked with them, and this is very clean. It does have, well, of course, the chorizo spices in it, but there's no crumbs and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I am going to make the sauce with that, and I have heavy cream here that I have to use up. That's how I came up with this today. I was like in a panic going, what can I use this on? It needs to be used up. So there's only one ingredient in this cream. It is cream. So there you go. No preservatives or fillers or anything like that. And for that reason, once you open it, you have to use it quickly, because it does go bad quicker than the other creams do. So I'm going to get the noodles started first and in the oven, and then come back to make the sauce. So
let's get started.
I've got a little blender here. So I'm going to put my eggs in here. You could use, you know, whatever, like you could use a food processor, or you could probably even hand mix this vigorously, or Vitamix, or you know, whatever you like. Okay, so I've got 3 eggs that I'm going to crack and put in here. Oh, and I'm going to set my oven to 325. And my 3 tablespoons of this bone marrow spread, which is very tasty, but I don't know how long it's going to last in the fridge. I'm not sure. And so I wanted to use this in here today just to use some up. I've been putting it on like beef chips and like meat chips. So if you have carnivore crisps at home or carnivore snacks, or you've made your own, this is really good spread on there. It also makes a nice topping for a steak. I've been doing that too. Okay, so the other thing I'm going to do it's a little different from the recipe, and I'll actually change my recipe to put it as an optional ingredient, because I honestly don't know if this is going to hold together. I decided I would hedge my bets and put in a heaping teaspoon of gelatin, because you just never know. And I'm putting in a 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond's Redmond's organic onion salt. Now this recipe pretty much fits an 11 by 17 pan. So if you don't have a big pan like this, you can break it up onto 2 smaller pans. If you don't have a lidded or a silicone mat with a lid, like a lip, you can use a flat silicone mat in here. Until I got this, I was using the flat one. And if you don't have any silicone mats, you can use parchment paper. The parchment paper will get a little wrinkly from the moisture of this mixture. That's the only thing, but it'll still work. This is going to go into the oven for 8 to 10 minutes or until the edges curl up. I can see that the gelatin has made an interesting texture out of this, or maybe it's the bone marrow spread, but I am not sure yet at this point. Just want to get all of that out there. If it doesn't work, this is an experiment. If it doesn't work, I will literally eat this out of the bowl. I think this will be good. Oh, I don't think I need to spread it. I'm just going to let it kind of go naturally. Yeah, it's definitely a different texture than when I've done it with butter. So we will see. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm never daunted with these things. I just keep going because there's always a way to salvage, and there's always a way to kind of make use of it anyways. And that is my goal here. Just gonna squish some of the lumps I still had. Fill in those little holes. Okay, I guess all we can do is see what happens. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the oven to go up to temperature, and then I will put it in and bring it back when it's ready. See you in the next segment. Okay, don't laugh when you see the pasta noodles. Well, they're not noodles yet. They will be. They will be. I'm not throwing them away. So I don't know if the bone marrow spread was the right thing to use. I also still have that weird problem in my oven where everything flows to one side, and I forgot about that. So I am going to make noodles out of this part here, but I'm gonna let it cool down. And all is not lost, even though it can seem like it is. I think in the end, it'll be fine. So I am going to organize myself to get over to the stove to make the sauce, the creamy chorizo sauce. Then we'll cut these up. They'll be cooled down enough to cut them up and put them in there. So we'll meet you at the stove in the next segment. All right, so I've got my pound of chorizo sausage here in the pan, and I'm just breaking it up a bit. It was still a little frozen in the very middle. So the thing with the chorizo is to, when you are looking for it in the store, to just read the labels, because a lot of them do have sugar and other things in it. I've had this one before. Usually I wouldn't buy, because chorizo is a little bit spicy, and I've kind of gotten away from that sort of thing. just because it triggers my acid reflux, because I'm no longer taking medications for that. So I have tried this particular one before, and it didn't have any effect on me. So I feel like the list of spices that they are using seem to be okay for me. So just, I mean, if you don't have to use chorizo, you could use, ground chicken or ground lamb would be good, beef, whatever you have, or any type of sausage, if you have a clean sausage of some other kind. I just thought this would be an easy way to have a nice, nicely flavored sauce without me having to add anything. The spices are all built in. But that said, you do have to be careful that it's not something that you might react to. Okay, I'm going to turn this down to low and just let it finish cooking out. And while that is simmering, I am going to go back over there and cut up those noodles.
Noodles.
Okay, I'll meet you over there. Okay. So even though it's a bit of a mess, it's peeling off nicely. All I did was flip the silicone pan over. There, ready for cutting. Okay, so yes, it does look like a little mess, but it is still, we got enough to make quite a few noodles still. There's a lot of crispy bits that Teddy has been enjoying off camera here. He loves these. And, it's just egg and, in this case, bone marrow. So I am going to just forge ahead and cut them up with this. This is a handheld noodle slicer that works quite well. So, see, just going to, it doesn't matter if they break either, because I'm going to be mixing it into that sauce with those sausage pieces. When you're using one of these, you have to kind of really press hard. That's probably a little too crispy. You can also just use a sharp knife. Actually, I'll show you how another way that you can do it. You can just roll it like that into a jelly roll type thing, and you just get a knife and do that. It just takes a little bit longer to make those cuts, so I do kind of like this little tool, but if you didn't have that, then that is just fine. And then we're going to go back over to the stove, finish the sauce, and dinner will be served. Here we are. This is looking good. Smells amazing. So I'm going to pour the cream in and let it simmer for a few minutes until it thickens, because I need to use it up. So I may just dump it all in. This is about 1.5 cups, because this entire thing holds 2 cups, and it looks like I've used about 1/2 cup out of there. So I'm going to turn that up a little bit. Break up some more of these big chunks. Gonna let that simmer for a few minutes. This hasn't even started to simmer, but once it comes up to simmering, then I'll I'll turn it down. This stovetop is slow to react. When I had my gas stove, it was always instant, so something I'm still getting used to. Okay, I'm just going to let that simmer for just a few minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, so it can thicken up. Okay, this is looking pretty nice. I think I'm going to call it done. Now you could, of course, throw in some cheese in here if you wanted to. I used an awful lot of dairy, so I don't know if I will do that for myself personally, other than maybe topping it with a few sprinkles of something. But maybe if you wanted to thicken this a little thicker, cream cheese would work. But I'm just going to leave it minimal ingredients, and I'm going to go grab the noodles and throw them in. Just trying to get all the noodles coated. And see, it did turn out to be actual noodles, even though it didn't look that promising when it first came out. Oh, and I did have to leave it cooking longer. When that bell rang the first time at 8 minutes, nope, this did not look good. So I left it in, I believe I put it in for another 7 minutes, so about 15. I would go for at least 15 minutes if you're going to do the bone marrow. There. So I am going to, I'm just going to, because this bowl is this skillet is super heavy, I'm just going to get myself some noodles in here. And, of course, I picked my smallest spatula. Now, these noodles are actually quite filling as well. So, yeah, just so you know that. So this is at least 2 servings here. But there it is. I'm going to walk back over here and give it a little taste test. All right. This is true comfort food. You got that spicy sausage in there, which is tempered down a little bit with the heavy cream. It's creamy, satisfying. It's got a bite to it. And the noodles, you know, they weren't pretty when they first came out, but nobody would know that now, right? So I'm glad I kept them. Got to try it again just to make sure I'm right. It reminds me of something that my mom would have made. She always used to make these homemade egg noodles that were really big and thick and would mix it in with a creamy sauce. This is a lot like that. So, not the chorizo though. She would have used ground beef and pork. But very good. I hope you give it a try. We'll see you on the next video.
You're talking too much. So, Teddy threw me off. If you are a